I'm so excited for today's guest, Claire Gallagher. She's been on the podcast before, actually, way back, episode 15. This is May 2025. So long ago. So long ago. I love it. Claire has been a professional astrologer for over 11 years, and I love her because her focus is on presence, not predictions. And she uses astrology to help people feel better today instead of future tripping about tomorrow. And whether she's doing a reading, moving with the moon, or teaching planetary journaling, she's here to help others hear and follow their inner wisdom. She's the author of Cosmic Year, which is coming out August 18th. We're definitely going to talk about that. Body Astrology, and she's also the host of the I Talk to Planets podcast. Welcome, Claire.
Hi, Jacqueline. It's so good to be back. Thank you.
It's so good to have you here. Last time we talked to you, you were just in the research phase for
Yeah.
Cosmic Year.
Yeah, I can't believe it. Yeah, it's been a long time.
It has. So, body astrology was like your deep dive.
Yeah.
Planets, body, trust, all that. Cosmic Year feels like it zooms out and is looking at a whole season or like cycles and timing. Tell us a little bit about the book and the spark for that one.
Yeah, so Cosmic Year is a totally different book from Body Astrology. Body Astrology was a lot of my original, like, intellectual experimentation on clients and my own body. And then Cosmic Year is a revival or a celebration of an ancient timing technique that I wanted to bring to non-astrologers. And as far as I know, a book for lay people on this topic hasn't been written yet. But the premise of the book is that every year of your life is co-created with you by a planet. And I was like, well, gosh darn, everybody needs to know what that planet is so they can make the most of their time and of their year. And that is the technique in its most basic form.
I love it. I want to talk about the writing of the book, but I'm also curious when you dug into your research, or maybe when you began writing it, did you know what your, it's called a Time Lord, right? That's what you call it.
Yeah.
Did you know what your
Very,
Time Lord or planet of the year was going? I mean,
yeah.
obviously you knew, but
What's funny is I learned this technique my very first year of astrology school, so a long time ago, and I thought it was really cool, and I ended up using it in every consultation since that point. So I had a really good working knowledge of the technique. I was using it on a daily basis, but I never thought, oh, I will be writing a book about this particular technique. It just didn't cross my mind until my editor approached me and was like, do you have a new idea for a new book? And I was like, here are my options. And she really liked this one. So we explored it. But yes, I knew who my Time Lord was at the time, but I definitely learned a lot more throughout the research project. There's infinitely more that couldn't even fit in the book that I have learned since writing it that I'm like, oh my gosh, Time Lords are endless, endless, endless subject.
that's so cool. Are you able to share the ideas for books that did not make the cut for this round?
Oh, it was so long ago. I can't even remember what they were, but I think I had about five ideas. Most of them were teetering around this concept of using astrology as a tool for being with yourself now instead of futuring your life away and wishing your life away and moving only toward the future. And so I think a lot of the ideas for books that didn't make it were actually infant ideas about what I'm writing on now. But the one that felt most accessible at the time was to write about Time Lords and how to use Time Lords as kind of like a friend that you can presence with right now today instead of freaking out about what's happening next year or the year after that.
Mhm.
So, mhm.
I love that. So compared with body astrology, I guess it's like using another book for comparison. How did the writing unfold compared to that one? Like length of time, process, easier, harder?
Oh my gosh, it was so much easier.
Oh, good.
And I will attribute a lot of that to your writing community, your studio, because I had learned and heard, of course, that you should separate writing and editing, but I had never had it modeled for me. And you modeled it so well and explained it so well that I was like, oh, ding ding. And it totally revolutionized the way I write anything now. And because of that, I think that's number one. Because of that, this book was so much easier to write because a lot of it was just, I just allowed myself to flow and I didn't critique it. And then I came back later and moved things around and edited and all of that stuff. I think another reason why this book was it, harder in its own way with doing the research, but easier in another, in that this was not like something that I was creating from scratch, whereas body astrology was really something I had experimented with and I had created a system. Cosmic year, this technique's been around for 2000 years, so it's not something I made up, but it was something that I had to read like really old texts that were hard to understand and
Oh,
stuff.
no.
So that was very different. But body astrology, I think from contract to shelf took 3 years. Cosmic year, I wrote in 5 months.
Wow.
Body astrology, I rewrote 3 times. Cosmic year, I wrote once and it took me 5 months. It was night and day. Yeah.
Wow. What a difference. That is
Yeah.
wild. So I love that you separated the writing from editing. Did the editing part feel more challenging this time?
Actually, the writing felt more challenging just because it was a new process for me.
Mm.
Because I was one of those, I'm a Virgo sun, and I would sit at my computer and be like, just perched, trying to
I
come
can
up with
picture
the,
it.
the
Yes.
right sentence. Yeah. And so learning how to turn on the faucet and just let the words flow, that was a new muscle memory I had to like put into my body. And so that was actually harder, but now it's easy to do and
Mm,
fun. Yeah.
good. Well, I'm so glad the next one flowed easier because if it didn't, I could imagine your next book would be like, yeah, no, I don't know about this writing books
Yeah. No
business thing.
thanks.
It is way too hard. That's so interesting. Did you have any different writing rituals or habits that you did differently, like writing somewhere else? Anything like
Yeah,
that?
that's a great question. I made sure I came to all the co-writing as much as I could because that really helped. But I, this time, really worked on my mindset. And I had a stack of little note cards with some writing affirmations that I would say out loud before I wrote each time. And that helped me because my story with body astrology was really fraught. And when that book came out, I was having a mental health crisis and was not available to really promote it. And I was going through a lot of difficulty. And I didn't want that story to be this next book's story. So I started with the self care and the mindset early right away. And so that was one of my rituals. But in terms of time of day, etc., I'm realizing that I can write whenever, like learning how to, write. I don't want to say on command because that sounds really bossy, but I know I trust myself at this point. If I want to write something or I need to write something, I can sit down and I can do that. And I think working with you has helped me learn that skill set as well, for sure.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I love that you trust yourself. I think that's one of the biggest things that probably comes with the more you write.
Hmm.
Initially, you're like, I don't know, can I do this? And I think that's probably when people try to over engineer or over structure their writing time and the place, and they try to make the perfect conditions, the perfect calendar. But you've
Yeah.
done it, so you don't need it.
Yeah. Perfect really doesn't exist for me. I work and sleep in the same room. And this is the desk that I wrote Cosmic Year at, and I'm staring at my bed. It's just like, this is my life, and I'm going to make it work. And so I really have let that perfect condition sort of delay sort of trick go.
Yeah,
I'm no longer dealing with that at the moment, thank goodness.
good. So
Yeah.
Cosmic Year also required interviews. Did Body Astrology require that as well?
Body astrology was birthed out of, I used to run a membership, a fitness membership, and it was all zodiacal based and moon based. And so body astrology was birthed out of working with people moving their own bodies and giving me feedback. So cosmic year was more, I wanted to sit down and hear people's stories. And so I did about 45 interviews with people just to check. I wanted to make sure it worked
That's a
before I
lot
wrote a
of
book on it.
interviews. Like at an
Yeah.
hour each, you spent 45 hours, not counting the research and prep. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I did a lot, and it was definitely, I am an introvert at heart, and I was very tired after that. But what I love about the book is there's little anecdotes throughout the chapters that tell just snippets of those stories from those interviews. And I thought that would be helpful because with astrology, like it can be so abstract and so conceptual. I really wanted real people's stories to help the material land. And I also used my own journals and anecdotes, but I didn't want it to just be about me. So I interviewed for two reasons. One, to make sure the technique worked, and two, to add some story to the manuscript.
I love it. And for listeners, I was one of those interviews, which was very useful. It was the first time I'd even heard of a cosmic year or Time Lord. I don't remember what page it's on, but I was in my Jupiter year.
I
Ninth,
believe so.
is that right? Is that the ninth year?
Ninth house year.
Yep,
So
ninth
let's
house year.
see. I think you're on page 96.
96. Yes. And it was really interesting to see those themes unfold. And as we record this, I'm in year one, rounding the
Hmm.
end of year one of a Saturn year, which initially I was scared about the way I heard you frame it once, but I don't feel scared about it anymore. It's cool. I like it.
Yeah, good friend. You just have to, be willing to do some hard work sometimes and build something that has legs. And I feel like you're willing to do that. So you're going to be just fine during a Saturn year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Saturn is on my sun. I think that's how another astrologer framed it.
Yeah.
So
So
my
you're really intimate. Like you already do Saturn every day.
yeah, so that's why I was like, oh, okay, I can do this. This is easy.
Yeah. You're like, yeah, check, check, check. No
So
problem.
what year are you in now that you're publishing this book?
I'm in a fifth house year, which
Okay.
is the house traditionally of children. And when we extrapolate that, we get creative children. And I consider my books to be my children that I need to support and promote and love.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting. And not to get too advanced, but there's multiple houses of the year. And the other house that's active for me is the ninth, which is the house of publishing.
Hmm.
So the fifth and the ninth are both lit up. And so that checks out astrologically.
That could not have worked out more perfectly for you.
Yeah, I love it.
I love when
Hmm.
that stuff happens, which it happens all the time. And when we just tune in and pay attention to what's going on, then we see it, which is probably your whole message around not predicting, but you got another
Yeah.
P word. What was the other P word?
Presence.
Presence, yes.
Yeah, my whole thing is like when someone comes to me and they're like, what does this mean in an astrology chart? Or what does this transit mean? And I'm like, well, just pause and ask yourself what's happening today.
Yeah.
That's what it means. Astrology is just describing what's already unfolding in front of us. And so when I look at it that way, it's not so obscure and scary. It's just like, oh, so this transit is describing me feeling this way about this day and the activities I'm doing. And it becomes really tangible when you look at it like that.
Yes. Was there anything that surprised you in the writing of this book?
I think the ease surprised me, and
That's a good one.
yeah, it surprised me so much that I still wake up going, I did something, I must have done something wrong. The astrology police are going to come and get me. So that has been a really interesting nervous system pattern to uncover, to note how uncomfortable I was with something flowing and not attaching to this old idea that if something's worth it, you have to work really hard for it. So it's been a lot of undoing some of that old programming around having to earn it, having to work
Mm,
really hard. Now, yeah, I worked hard writing the book. I'm not saying I twiddled my thumbs and
right.
just like chilled out, but I didn't have the body astrology experience of going into a frenzy, of turning, like moving toward nervous breakdown. Like that did not happen. And I'm really grateful for that. And I was surprised also by that, pleasantly surprised.
That's awesome. When you wrote this book, who did you picture as your reader?
Yeah, I pictured two people. One was me about 15 years ago, and anyone who resonates with that me 15 years ago. So when I first found, or when astrology found me, because it definitely, I didn't go looking for it. It just was like this flyer on the back of a toilet stall. Honestly, that's how I how it intercepted my life. Anyway, I got really obsessed and I started tracking everything and keeping all the journals and reading all the things, and I started creating this habit of attributing my fears of life and fears of the future to quote challenging unquote astrological aspects or transits or parts of my chart. And it was a terrible way to live life. It was awful.
I
I was
bet.
scared. Yeah, I was scared all the time. I was like blaming the moon for every bad mood. It was just not good. But I realize 15 years later, talking to my community online, et cetera, that that's a really normal way to interact with astrology. A lot of people interact with astrology that way. And so when I wrote Cosmic Year, even though this technique is predictive, my intention was to turn it on its head a little bit and challenge the benefit, if there is any, of predictive techniques. And I wanted to call out to the person who is afraid of every eclipse or who's afraid of the Saturn transit. And I wanted to give them a text that was reliable and rooted in ancient techniques, but that was not fear mongering and scary. And I hope that I achieved that. But that is who I'm imagining reading this, is the astrology lover who's taken their obsession a little bit too far in the negative direction. Yeah.
I know there's lots of those people. So, one, you did an excellent job at this.
Thank you.
You broke down the material in such a clear, easy to follow way. And at no point is it scary at all.
Good.
I
I'm
have
glad.
an unconscious filter for reading things that have fear embedded in them or
Hmm.
even sensing the writer's fear.
Yeah.
So, a lot of astrology you read, the headlines are doom and gloom. And I'm like,
Hmm.
I follow very few, maybe like three, because so many are predictive, negative, in fear. And I think that's just a reflection of how they're living. So think of all
Yeah.
those people and all the people they're teaching,
Yeah.
taking all that in.
Exactly. Yeah. And I was like, I refuse to do that anymore. And before I was given the opportunity to write the book, I actually stopped doing predictive readings for clients. And I put a disclaimer on my website, and I went through this whole season where I was like, I'm not doing the future anymore. And it, it didn't go over too well, but I needed that body. That was my experimentation of like, how do you interact with astrology without letting it tell you what's going to happen or tell you what to do? how do you still interact with it? Because I still love it, but how can I change my relationship with it? So the research for this actually started quite a while ago when I decided to take a break from the future.
I love it. So, Cosmic Year is coming out on the 18th. And when this episode is live, you can sign up for Claire's book club. I already signed up when you pre-order, so the link will be in
Yay.
the show notes for that. Can you tell us what's going to happen in the book club?
I am still figuring that out.
That's great.
But but what I would love to do is obviously have discussion, but there's some techniques in the book that I would love to do some live group demos with. There's a journaling technique that is really fun to do as a group called planet channeling, where it's just like connecting with your future self, but you're connecting with your Time Lord or your co creator. And it's a fun way to have a conversation with the planet of the year. So we might do that live and then kind of ping off each other and see what did your Time Lord look like and what did they say? I'd also, during book club, like to share a couple techniques that didn't make it into the book. So if there's time and people's brains aren't full, I'm going to do a little bit of extra cherry on top astrology with perfections, which is the name of this technique.
Exciting. So you can go to astrologywithclaire.com to find that, and it'll be linked in the show notes. I want to switch gears a little bit. I'm curious what you're excited about now, because I know you finished writing this book July 2025, so a year
Yeah.
ago, and now it's coming together. What have you been doing all year?
I know. I've been like waiting all year long. No, I'm kidding. This year has been interesting. I feel like I've until now been wandering in the wilderness, figuring out what I want to do next. So I feel like I've been in a bit of a liminal space, waiting for the book to release and also figuring out where in astrology I'm going next. Because I kind of identify as an astro scientist where something will capture my attention and then I'll take that really deep and eventually either write a book on it or do some type of product or client facing work around it. And just was it May? Yeah, May. Finally, the wilderness came to an end. And I had an instant, I'm kind of one of those claircognizant people. And so I had an instant download of an entire idea and system that I wanted to study. And so since that time, this sounds really vague, but I've been studying fate and the concept of fate across cultures as my research, but also with my community. Like, what do you think about fate and free will? Are you on one side or the other? Do you think there's an in between? And I'm just kind of checking the temperature, just seeing what people need because I'm noticing that the person I want to write for is the same. It's that person who is using astrology as confirmation bias that their fears are true. But I want to write from a different lens. And this one is the lens of what is fate? Can it be participated with? Can it be changed? And how? So that's what I'm playing with at the moment.
Big questions. I love that.
Yeah, really big. No big deal.
No, no big deal. Just a light little astrology book. So it's
Very
so
light.
funny you mentioned this because today on Substack Notes, I just fired off a quick message, and this was in the veins of what I messaged to my community today. So for listeners, we're recording this on the Aquarius full moon, Jupiter Cazimi. Everyone's like, this is the luckiest day of the year. This is amazing. I'm like, yes. And
Yes,
what
and.
about the other 364 days? Are you going to treat like today as a lucky day? And if something lucky doesn't happen to you, you're just going to be like, you have no free will? I'm like, how about you treat every day as lucky and you work with it differently?
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
top of mind for me, for sure.
I love that. Yeah, that's so funny. I'm so disconnected from the greater astrology like conversation unless they're in my community because I'm like you, I don't follow many, if any, astrologers. So it's funny to me that people are like, this is the luckiest day of the year. I personally didn't label it as such, but I can see how people would do so.
That's so interesting. And when thinking about it, it's like, oh, well, that makes sense if you want someone to read your stuff on Instagram or you want something that will get a click. If you tell me
Yeah.
it's the luckiest day of the year, I'm going to read it
Oh, yeah, that's
because I want to know
good.
about it.
That's good clickbait for sure.
This might be a side quest or not related at all. The nodes. Are the nodes connected to fate? Is that part of your research?
That's a great question, and it depends on who you ask.
Hmm.
So, I am a traditional astrologer, and most of my techniques are Hellenistic. So, they come from ancient Greece and Egypt. And then, when in traditional astrology, the nodes were thought of very differently than they are thought of in modern astrology. So, most of the time, when you hear astrologers talking about fate and destiny, in terms of the nodes, they're usually a modern astrologer, sometimes an evolutionary astrologer, and that's fine. And the traditional astrologers didn't look at them that way. The nodes, they're the places where the eclipses occur. So they're inherently a little wobbly and
Hmm.
I had a teacher describe it as like walking past a cave and wondering if the dragon is going to come out. They're kind of like, there's a little bit of hesitance with the nodes, but succinctly, there's two. There's a north and a south, and the north is associated with increase or more, and the south is associated with decrease or less. And so I like to think of them more as places in the chart where sometimes we overdo it. We're really like hungry for that part of the chart. And then places where we might feel a little depleted, where we need like a leaky bucket is another term I've heard a lot with the South Node is like, oh, I'm leaking energy in this place, or this part of my chart is a little lower in vitality because of this area of decrease. And so when I think about fate, I don't think about the nodes. I think about the chart as a whole, and the nodes are a part of that. But to me, they don't speak directly to fate.
Very interesting. I mean, you can tell by my questions how much I know.
No, it's a great
So they're
question.
going
I
to say
get that a
questions.
lot.
I say your readers and listeners probably have these questions too, if they even
Yeah.
have those. I mean, if you're really new to astrology, you might have never even heard about a node.
Yeah. And just forget everything I just said if you're new.
Yes. So to wrap us up, when we interviewed last, I think you had just quit coffee, and you're like, I'm writing this book. I
Oh,
quit coffee. Are you back to coffee?
oh my God. Yes. So much coffee is happening. You know, I went from coffee to matcha, and
Yeah.
now guess what I do? I do coffee and matcha. So
Together?
not together, but
Oh,
like different times of the day. So my plan of doing just that matcha life did not work out for me. But it was an interesting experiment to write a book without hardcore caffeine. I wonder if it would have been a different book had I been on coffee. We shall never
hmm,
know the answer to that question.
no. But the writing was easy, so don't
Yeah,
fix what isn't broken.
if it ain't broke.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't do anything like that. Oh my gosh, Claire, this is so good. I'm so excited for your book club. So readers should find you at astrologywithclaire.com for all the things, right? The book club, the books.
Yes. Yes, there's a banner that'll take you right to book club, or you can go to astrologywithclaire.com/book club and it'll get you there too.
Awesome. We will have those linked in the show notes. Thank you so much, Claire. I'm excited for this book and all the other books that you're going to write next.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. It was so much fun.